So, how do you feel about spiders? Do they fascinate you? Do they completely freak you out? Or are you like me, caught somewhere uncomfortably in between? Because this week, we're headed back into the Congo. I know, it's been so many now, but the Congo's full of so many things, it won't be the last time. And I'm not talking about tarantulas, I'm talking about spiders. The size of dogs, the size of children. Massive spiders said to move along the jungle at night, heavy enough to shake branches and leaving behind webs that people have learned very quickly not to mess with. So, pack light, stay close, because where we're going, the forest is definitely not empty. But first, do you enjoy peering into the unknown with curiosity instead of fear as your guide? If so, subscribe for more Paranormish. Okay, enough of that. Let's get into it. Some stories sound unbelievable when you hear them. They sound exaggerated or a bit too convenient. But every now and then, a story comes along about people who just weren't looking for one. People who didn't go looking for a legend, but somehow found themselves in the middle of one anyway. One evening, a couple was driving through the Congo, moving slowly along a narrow forest road as the light began to fade. The jungle pressed in on both sides, dense, close, and alive with sound. They rounded a bend and something was already in the road, which is normal. This is the Congo after all. At first, it looked like debris. A dark shape stretched low across the path. They eased off the gas and waited for it to move. And then, it did. Not suddenly, nor was it in a rush. It began crossing the road in front of them. As it moved, the mysterious shape turned into something neither of them expected. A body close to the ground and legs. Long legs. 5 feet long, reaching outward, touching the road in multiple places at once. And that's when the word spider crept into their minds. The car rolled to a stop. The engine idled. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They just watched as the creature continued across the road, unhurried, unaffected by the vehicle, as if it hadn't even noticed them. It didn't react. Once it reached the opposite side, it slipped back into the vegetation and disappeared. The road was empty again, and after a brief pause, the couple turned their car around, not in a panic, but disbelief. The quiet understanding that this creature that had crossed their path wasn't something they wanted to follow deeper into the forest. Stories like this aren't told as legends by the people who live there. They're more of a cautionary tale. Hunters talk about areas that they avoid, and it's not because they're cursed or something like that, but because these larger-than-life spiders live there. Now, from what I found with my own research, it's that the locals don't actively hunt them. Now, I should add that I've found accounts being retold online where the locals say that they find them to be a delicacy. Gross, yes, but the main issue I have with this theory is that if they're being hunted and eaten as frequently as suggested, we would definitely have a lot more evidence, and I feel like it would really be a mystery at that point. But here we are. Also, who doesn't love giant spider soup? Like, let's be real here for a second, we would have a ton of physical evidence. So I choose to believe that they're avoided rather than hunted. And according to the locals, they used to be a lot more common. They used to be found pretty easily, hiding amongst the roots of trees in burrows that they've dug. But due to deforestation and other human intervention, they've become very rare. They are also believed to have retreated into unexplored areas, and let's be real here, it's the Congo. There is plenty of that to go around. We also can't forget the accounts of massive webs stretched between trees, thick enough to catch birds mid-flight, and people have learned very quickly not to walk into them. Some describe these spiders as being so large that you can feel their movement on the ground before they're even seen. plants shifting, branches trembling, the sense that something is moving just out of view. Thing is, these tales aren't necessarily told with excitement. It's more like cautionary. Advice you'd give to someone who was new to the area. The 3 rules. 1. Don't go out at night. 2. Definitely not alone, as if you need to be told that at this point. And 3. Just don't do it. I mean, like, you might run into a giant spider. I mean, that should be enough to be like, hey, I'm just gonna stay home tonight, fellas. That's it. Understandably, children are warned away from certain paths. And the craziest thing is, it's not just because of these spiders. It's because they're not the only things in that forest that react well to being surprised. At this point, if you're thinking that the Congo was all fun and games, you might have problems. Now, don't misunderstand. I don't hate spiders by any means. I think they're incredibly fascinating at a distance. I'm joking. Or am I? But hey, at the end of the day, I allow them to live in my house, rent-free, warm, and allowed to catch as many insects as they want. I'm human. Sometimes I forget that I have a bunch of bananas ripening in a paper bag over there in the corner. They should just sell them ripe. Problem solved. Anyways, these spiders are under contract. They can do whatever the heck they want, as long as they don't leave the ceiling. Now, if they decide to get cocky and take a mile, and decide to come down from the ceiling and Tarzan swing into my face, then they get or thrown out into the elements. It depends on the offense. Also, I love 8-legged freaks, and I'm not saying that as some term against spider kind, more like the movie. It's just so fun. Now back to the Congo.
When you hear enough stories about giant Congolese spiders, or J'ba Fofi as the locals call them, something quiet starts to settle in. Not panic or certainty, but the realization that when encountering this creature, people keep making the same choice. They stop. They don't rush forward, and they definitely don't test it. They leave them alone, and the forest doesn't react at all. It just keeps going, as if nothing unusual happened. Except one person decided not to keep walking. And that's usually the moment when curiosity takes over, because coincidences don't tend to repeat themselves this calmly. Here's when possibility creeps in.
Stories like this don't just come from empty places. The Congo is one of the most biologically dense locations on Earth. It's layered, it's ancient, and it's still revealing new species, even today. It's a place where size doesn't always behave the way we expect it to. Spiders already exist there with leg spans that would stop any normal person in their tracks. Webs that already catch birds mid-flight, and spiders that honestly most of us could not imagine encountering at night. So the idea that something larger could exist, something rarely seen, rarely encountered, and carefully avoided, isn't as outrageous as it first sounds. Especially in an environment where visibility is already so low, documentation is so rare, and encounters usually end the same way. The locals don't go out and look for them. They leave them alone, like any sane person would do. And that matters, because creatures who survive by being avoided don't need to be aggressive, and they don't need to be common. They just need to exist quietly, in places where humans don't spend a lot of time in, and leave once they feel slightly uncomfortable. Now, keep in mind, we can't say with certainty exactly what people are seeing, but it's worth acknowledging that the Congo is exactly the kind of place a creature like this could persist without being neatly cataloged. And it's not because it's supernatural. It's because nature does not owe us familiarity.
Tales like this tend to stick with people. Not because they prove anything, but because they leave you with a feeling that you don't immediately know what to do with. A sense that the world might be a little larger and a little stranger than we're usually comfortable admitting. And hey, let's be real for a second. You have to be a little strange yourself to enjoy a mystery about 6-foot spiders. I know I am.
And honestly, what's wrong with being a little strange? Also, you made it this far, so clearly you couldn't resist the call of strange either. We aren't so different, huh? And remember, being curious doesn't mean believing everything you hear. It means being willing to look at the unknown without flinching and without needing it to disappear right away. So, if you find yourself drawn to stories like this, stories that live somewhere between horror and wonder, and you enjoy peering into the unknown with curiosity instead of fear as your guide, then you're in the right place. Consider subscribing for more Paranormish. I'm Josiah, and it's been a pleasure. But before I go, what do you think? Do you believe that there are giant spiders hiding in the Congo? I know I do. Stay curious.
But you can't